Nos actually did say something really good, and I want to read this because this guy is coming up with some. This guy comes up with some really really nice takes. I would say they're spicy, but they're very nuanced. Like people will be like, "Oh, he's got a hot take." No. This is a hot, wholesome take that you would get from a diner. Okay,
It won't mess up your stomach.
like a churro fresh out the
Churro.
grease, right? Churro fresh out the
Rico.
grease. Yeah. So he wrote this earlier today. My boy Nos here. Follow at Nostra Chavez. My Douglas Murray versus Dave Smith review. Who looked better? Smith. Whose position is more right on Israel versus Palestine? Murray. Why? Murray looked worse because he started with this elitist, seemingly anti-free speech point of view that unless you're an expert, you shouldn't talk in front of large audiences. This is obviously wrong because, one, as we talked about, the experts are too often wrong, warped by woke or other ideology, and or corrupted by moneyed interests or other corrupting incentives. So sometimes we need non-experts, including honest commentators, to be able to tell the truth when the experts won't, and to counterbalance the clear corruption and ideological bias of the legacy media. 2, in a free country, people should be able to talk about what they want to whoever they want, and people can listen or not if they want. I think Doug Murray's more European, friendlier disposition towards censorship, as well as his deep emotional connection to Israel's cause, has led him to this illiberal point of view. Furthermore, Murray also did engage in a lot of logical fallacies. For example, appeals to authority, straw manning, as well as some evasion and seemingly wanting to exhaust Dave Smith with these straw manning detours and semantic games. That said, Murray is a very brilliant man, a very brave and important thinker. He did make some good points, and I think overall he's right on Israel. Why Murray is right on Israel. While Dave Smith is right that killing of women and children is a very bad thing, almost all of the responsibility for their deaths and suffering fall on Hamas. Well, I actually like how Douglas says it, by Hamas and the Palestinians and Iranians supporting them. Hamas did all of this themselves on October 7th. They started this war with brutal rape, mass rape, and murder, and worse, of over 1,000 innocent civilians. They are keeping hostages still. They are intentionally putting their own civilians, including the women and children we talk about, in harm's way to score PR points by hiding in hospitals, schools, etc., and storing weapons there. We cannot allow terrorist groups and governments like Hamas to get away with atrocities and then hide behind their civilians as an excuse to avoid retaliation and justice. Therefore, Hamas and the Palestinians, who put their own people at harm all along the way and continue to, are committed, I repeat again, committed to the death and exile of all Jews in Israel. Well, really, it's wider than that. Deserve almost all of the responsibility for this onslaught on their people. Finally, the constant launching of missiles, terrorist attacks, invasions, etc., into Israel over the last 80 years or so, as well as, again, the mission statement to kill all the Israeli Jews or to drive them out of Israel, also doesn't much help Palestinians gain moral high ground. Unless you're a communist who believes in decolonization, but we'll get into that too. I think this is a clear case of FAFO. For the audience who doesn't know what that is by now, fuck around and find out. And the men of Hamas and Palestine not fulfilling their primary duty as men, to protect their women and children. As you can see, they are unforgivably doing the opposite, using them as human shields and sacrificial lambs in their doomed intifada instead. Hell of a job, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I felt inspired the other day.
Hell of a job.
After finishing that podcast.
Eric, your thoughts, brother?
Oh, I loved it, Chavez. Even if I disagreed on like little portions or anything, I would be like, wow, that was so thoughtful and you were very fair and reasonable. I loved it. So, so for me, I try to be as balanced as possible on this because I have friends on both sides who are like rabidly, that way. And so the base definition of Zionism is like, do you believe Israel should exist? Yes, I do believe that. So, but I also understand the other side of people being upset about it and saying that they have gone too far with their power. But ultimately, I think it's an unfair one-sided conversation because one side has actively tried to negotiate the two-state solution, and then one side has always been non-negotiable in that aspect. And so I find it harder to sympathize with one side than the other. So Yasser Arafat, I have a clip somewhere where he's talking about essentially he could never take any deal but 100%, meaning kind of like that river to the sea thing of like, we get it all. And basically saying like we're not ever negotiable, and that's an issue for like Bill Clinton. I have another clip. I have a clip of him where he's teary-eyed talking about how really Yasser Arafat was the reason there wasn't a two-state solution, there wasn't peace. So the Palestinian leaders have been honestly far more objectionable than even Netanyahu, because Ahmed Yassin has also been a pretty bad faith actor historically. And so I find it tough on both sides because, again, when they talk about the women and children stuff, obviously that's always terrible. But this is also a culture that conscripts children into the army as young as 11.
Yep.
So if you don't criticize the culture that uses child soldiers, then it's hard for me to also equally be like, oh, the women and children, because in the end, a lot of the women and children are secretly conscripted into the army. And we also need to criticize that aspect of the culture. I guess one last thing is like, look at how the Palestinians have treated their neighbors. So under the rule of Yasser Arafat, they tried to invade Jordan. And then the king of Jordan kicked their ass out in the 1970s. Then they tried to invade Syria and Lebanon. And then there was a lot of just a lot of fighting in Lebanon throughout the 80s because of the PLO. So all the Arab neighbors, they don't really feel allied to the Palestinians for a reason, because they burned every bridge. So again, I feel bad for the people involved who are abused by these corrupt people at the top, certainly. But the leadership who I am more disappointed by is clearly the Palestinian leadership, even over the times when I'm very disappointed with Netanyahu and the Israelis.
Let me just say this, okay? Because I've had a lot of people in my circle who, like, I see a lot of the arguments for Palestine, and there are three things that bother me the most. The first thing is when it comes to the culture. People will excuse the culture. People will immediately excuse the culture because of the color of the skin of the combatants.
Yep.
Israelis are the whites, and they immediately see the Palestinians because they're brown.
Oppressed brown people.
It automatically is, oh, well, if you're brown, you are automatically oppressed.
It's true. That's how the woke view it.
It disgusts me, and I'll get back to that. I'll get back to the woke angle about it. But when you think about it, again, you've got these people who look at it purely from a skin color perspective and completely ignore the fact that on October 7th of 2023, Hamas went in and slaughtered over 1,000 young men and women at that concert and took out another near 500 people in the little villages in the south of Israel surrounding where the concert took place.
Kibbutzim.
The kibbutzim, right? Yeah, the kibbutzim. Yes, yeah. I can't pronounce it. Yeah. My Yiddish is terrible.
You got it right.
Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Kibbutzim.
I'll leave it up to the audience to decide, but one of you got it right.
Well, my Hebrew is off, and
my Hebrew's really good actually. But go ahead.
Yours is? No fucking way.
You just saw a glimpse in the confidence levels, by the way.
No, well, Hebrew is one language I have not studied. It's like
I'm an Israeli operative and shill, but go ahead.
Oh my God.
Check his early life section.
Yes. Check my early life, man.
Eric, this is why he gets muted at the beginning of every show. because he'll do some wacky shit, like start singing when the 30-second intro comes on. This guy can't be trusted.
I wish I came early today so you could have heard my beautiful voice.
Oh my God!
Fighting like a married couple.
Radio. Yeah,
the show is off the rails.
We've been.
I love this guy. So we're talking. I love you too, Chad.
Thank you.
Anyways, so
the love is there.
You've got
love is there, still there.
So we're talking about
all these years.
So we're talking about nearly 1,500 people who had their lives either turned upside down or were ended completely in some of the most brutal, barbaric ways. I know people who have gone to watch the video that was taken by the Israeli army, okay, and it was so like everybody came out of that video. The ones that I know, they came out of it like emotionally and mentally scarred because they did things. Hamas did things to these people that would be considered unspeakable even to this day. Okay, so I'm already, because these people slaughtered innocents, they shed innocent blood. I'm already at that point, like, if you want to say I'm pro-Israel, I'm already pro-Israel at that point. You went in and killed people who were minding their own business, but you didn't stop there.
No,
the Western leftists and weak ass liberals thought that, if I have to make a stand. I'm going to stand not only with the brown people, but then I'm going to also stand with the Muslims. The leftists, the flat out communists, decided we're going to go the full decolonial route, the decolonization route, because communists can't help themselves. Okay, communists are always going to side with whatever advances their revolution. The issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution, which is how you had Black Lives Matter chapters celebrating like glory to the decolonizers. You had these wacky teachers who were saying, decolonize your mind, decolonize your perceptions, and just decolonize everything. Like, these are some of the most despicable people. All of the Western left decided we are going to go all in for Palestine right then and there. That became the cause celeb. Again, doing what Douglas Murray was doing what Douglas Murray was actually cautioning against. People who have never been to Palestine, know absolutely nothing about the culture, know nothing about the people, know nothing about the barbarism, the historical barbarism that the PLO and Hamas always, absolutely nothing. But yet every single college kid, every single affluent white female leftists on college campuses decided this was going to be their cause celeb. So that's where you see all the cafes on college campuses. And now see, here's where I'm really going to get into.
And it's all because, by the way, it's real quick. It's all because they believe, and they've been taught in Columbia and all these different Ivy League schools, white people bad, brown people good.
White people bad, brown people good.
Bad, Jews
and
white.
That is the extent of the argument.
Like that's most of what's going on here. And besides, I'm sure the Palestinian students have their own reasons, and maybe some Muslim students, but the white girls and the white American Ivy League kids, leftists, that's basically what they see. That's how bad it is.
I want to share one thing real quick, Eric. One I see you have something you want to say, but I want to share this real quick. Historically speaking, we have absolutely no American has any business standing for this for any reason, okay? Because a lot of people don't know, but the very existence of Palestine is because of the Soviet Union back in the 1960s and 70s. And it was, yes, I am openly saying that Gaza and Palestine, whatever you want to call it, is an openly communist or entity. Why would I say that? Because I wasn't the one who said it. Allow me to present Zuhair Hussein, who was a leader with the PLO, who gave a quote back in 1977 to a Dutch paper called Trouw. And he says, quote, "The Palestinian people does not exist. The creation of a Palestinian state is only a means for continuing our struggle against the state of Israel for our Arab unity. In reality, today, there is no difference between Jordanians, Palestinians, Syrians, and Lebanese." Pay attention to this next part, ladies and gentlemen. "Only for political and tactical reasons do we speak today about the existence of a Palestinian people, since Arab national interests demand that we posit the existence of a distinct Palestinian people to oppose Zionism."
Wow.
And then they killed his fucking ass in France about 2 days later.
Wow.
Dead serious. That's real. Look that up.
Receipts. That was fun.
They killed him, and he actually got picked off in Caen in the south of France. How about that?
That's pretty damning, man. If that's true, I mean, I know he said that, and he is what you said he is. If that's the case, like
when I read this piece, it was from
how many people had to die for that? Like how many people had to die for them to have this like little tactical Arab opposition to Zionism, which is what? Them just taking that little strip of land, the Jews taking that little strip of land and just making it their country. Like what, really that many people had to die over this shit? Which, by the way, if you want to talk about colonialism, didn't the Jews live there like fucking 3,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago or many times in their history and get driven out and come back? Wasn't that like basically their freaking native land? So they're the indigenous people there.
Exactly. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, if you're translating what he is saying, what he is essentially saying is that the Palestinians are used in a proxy war against the Israelis, and they are just either representative. If you know the Arab world well, it's the Saudi Arabian and the Iranian power struggle. Essentially, they are running vast amounts of proxy wars against each other, and it goes back and forth. And it's really sad, quite frankly, that that there are these pawns in this large game, and